Hello and welcome to the Connection Care Community Podcast. My name is Majida, and today we'll be discussing the 4 phases of your cycle and why you're more powerful than you know. Some of what we'll be chatting about is how understanding your cycle is the first step to reclaiming your power, your health, and your fertility. So, hi there and welcome. I first started learning about the menstrual cycle after college. For my entire life up until that point, no one had given me a clear picture of how my own body worked. And honestly, I felt curious and frustrated in equal measure. What I'd been taught about reproductive health was incomplete, more gaps than answers. As I've previously mentioned in other Substacks and in other podcasts, during my Thai yoga teacher training, I was deep into holistic health, trying to reconnect with my body after years on hormonal contraceptives. One day, my teacher's wife casually pulled out her charting binder, decades of her cycles, all documented. Watching her talk about her patterns, the way she knew her body, something started to quake in the deep corners of my mind and my womb. This, unsurprisingly, was also the same time I learned about fertility awareness, and with that practice, I started noticing subtle shifts in my own body. The rhythms had always been there, quietly guiding me. I just hadn't known that I should have been paying attention. The more I learned, the more I realized how much had been missing from the story we're told about our bodies. Our hormones move in cyclical patterns, beautifully orchestrated rhythms that shape everything from our energy to our emotions. The menstrual cycle isn't one continuous stage. It's a series of hormonal seasons. Each one brings distinct shifts in mood, metabolism, and even how we relate to others. Understanding these 4 phases changed the way I live, I work, and I care for myself. Once I began to understand these 4 phases, I started to see my cycle not as random or inconvenient, but as deeply intelligent. So let's dive into these phases, not just as biology, but as a rhythm of how your body speaks to you each and every month. So first off, we'll start with the menstrual phase. A phrase that can encapsulate the menstrual phase perhaps is release and replenish. The menstrual stage or phase starts on day 1 of your bleed and goes all the way until your bleeding ends. This phase often feels like a pause, and it is, but it's also about restoration. Your body is replenishing itself. So, integrating iron-rich foods like spinach, legumes, lean protein, all of these help replenish what has been lost during the shedding of your menstrual blood and your menstrual cycle. Energy dips are very normal here, and responding with care instead of pushing through can make all of the difference. 2 of your major hormones during this time, estrogen and progesterone, drop, and your body releases your uterine lining. On a soul level, this phase is about rest, reset, and release. So what's powerful here? Your clarity, your intuition, and your ability to see what's no longer working. Those are your superpowers during your menstrual stage. Many women that I work with enter their menstrual phase feeling fatigue, frustration, and sometimes even shame. All of these feelings can be have oftentimes been shaped by societal messages that this time is a weakness. Yet, when my clients come to respond with care and allow themselves to slow down and listen, the menstrual phase can really become a period of reflection, of emotional clarity, and subtle yet profound inner wisdom. Next, we're moving on to the follicular phase, which I characterize by 2 words, growth and curiosity. This period of time, sometimes you'll hear it referred to as going from the end of your period through ovulation, but actually your menstrual phase, your menstrual time, your bleeding time is also encapsulated into your follicular phase, because follicular has to do with the follicles that are growing. But that's a whole other conversation that we'll leave to another podcast. But for now, know that once bleeding stops, this phase often brings increased energy and mental clarity. Estrogen, one of those main hormones we spoke about earlier, is gradually increasing, supporting focus, creativity, and curiosity. Nutrition that supports estrogen, like flax seeds and pumpkin seeds, can help you align with this natural growth that is occurring. On a practical level, this is a great time for learning, for planning, and for initiating new projects. On a deeper level, you can start to connect to the sense of exploration, a feeling of openness, and expanding your capacity. So what's powerful here? Your ability to take in new ideas, to try fresh approaches, and to move forward with intention. Many women that I work with notice a renewed sense of motivation and mental sharpness during their follicular phase. However, through societal messaging, they might feel the need to always be productive. But I offer that by leaning into this phase rather than pushing against it, you may be able to harness both clarity and creativity. Next up, ovulation. I characterize this phase by connection and expansion. So this is a day, right? A 24-hour period in your cycle, the day of ovulation. And during this brief but very potent transitional phase, you can see a natural peak in confidence, in charisma, and in social energy. Two hormones, right, estrogen and the luteinizing hormones, surge during this time, signaling ovulation to occur. We'll see changes in cervical fluid, something that we'll talk about more in later podcasts and Substack articles. Your body is at peak fertility during this time, and so your energy often may feel outward focus. On a practical level, this is a time for communication, connection, and assertive decision making. On a deeper level, this can be a time where you really feel aligned with expressing yourself, building relationships, and stepping fully into your presence. So what's powerful here? While many women that I work with and I've worked with throughout the years do sense or notice an increased sense of ease and sociability during ovulation, something that I've also seen and that is rarely spoken about is that this phase can bring agitation, restlessness, or complex emotions, especially for those who aren't speaking their full truth or holding boundaries or honoring their desires. These feelings are not a flaw, right? You're not having a bad ovulatory phase if you're feeling more of these agitation or these complex emotions or restlessness, right? It doesn't mean that there's a flaw. They are signals from your body, right, urging you to recognize and act on what it is that you do actually need. So tuning into these cues allows you to engage with your energy intentionally rather than simply trying to fit the feel good, and feel good is in quotes, right? The feel good expectation of ovulation. Last but certainly not least is the luteal phase. I characterize this phase with the two words, reflection and integration. The luteal phase starts the day after ovulation and goes all the way up to your next bleed. Right? So the day of your next bleed is cycle day 1, and that starts a whole new follicular stage, whole new menstrual phase. But all the way up until that time, right after ovulation to right up until your next bleed is called your luteal phase. This phase brings progesterone dominance. And in later Substack and podcasts, we'll be talking a lot about progesterone. So stay tuned. So progesterone dominance, right? This creates a natural shift inward. Energy may increase, energy may decrease, right? Counter to the follicular stage where energy can oftentimes be in abundance. We notice that energy may slow down or decrease during the luteal phase, and our moods may fluctuate. Nutrition that supports progesterone, like selenium-rich sunflower and sesame seeds, can help to stabilize your energy and your mood. Physiologically speaking, your body produces this amazing temporary organ called the corpus luteum. It's a remarkable structure that supports potential early pregnancy. It's what keeps progesterone high throughout your cycle and does so much more, as we'll be diving into on other podcasts and on other Substacks. But for now, for many, they know progesterone as what is needed to support early pregnancy, right? And maintain a pregnancy throughout. On a deeper level, this phase encourages reflection, organization, and integration of the experiences of the past cycle. So what's powerful here? Your capacity for insight and discernment. Many women notice frustrations with things like PMS or PMDD or fatigue and assume that this phase is a weakness. However, I offer that leaning into the rhythm allows for integration, for emotional processing, and for subtle strength. It's a time to take stock, to reflect, and to prepare for the next cycle with awareness and intention. All of this to share, right? And so much more to share, right? That understanding your cycle can give you insights into your fertility, into your hormone health. It can provide you with clarity, with agency. When you're facing challenges like PCOS, endometriosis, or hormone imbalances, it becomes easier to navigate when you can actually read what your body is telling you. Each phase has its own strengths. Right? Replenishing, expanding, expressing, integrating, and leaning into these strengths is what allows us to move with these rhythms and enhances everything else, our health, our creativity, and our resilience. I have an upcoming course called The Cycle Connection, which if you subscribe to my Substack or you join me at my website, www.connectioncaretherapy.com, you can go to courses and not only do you receive a bunch of free resources, which include practical templates, nutritional guidance, supplement guidance, cycling tips, and so much more. You'll also get updates as to when I'm releasing the Cycle Connection course. So it's your turn, right? Your turn to reflect. I'd love to hear from you. Which phase of your cycle feels most aligned with what you feel like is your natural energy flow? Or do you notice these subtle shifts in your energy as your cycle moves through its different phases and stages? Which one provides you with the most uppity feelings, right? Or which one provides you with the most kinds of challenges? I'd love to hear from you either way, even if it's just to say hi. So make sure that you subscribe to my Substack and join me in this conversation. I look forward to hearing from you more. With warmth and connection, Majida.